Hey everyone! Today we're going to be looking at some different groups that make music, or ensembles. Ensemble is the fancy word for a group that makes music. There are lots and lots of different ensembles in the world, but today we're going to look at 3 of them. The first one is one of the biggest, and it's called an orchestra. Orchestras are really big. They can have anywhere from about 50 to more than 100 musicians in them. Orchestras are also really old. The first ones were put together in the 1600s, almost 400 years ago. Orchestras have 4 different sections: the strings, the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. The strings are the biggest section. They have the most people and sit in the front of the orchestra. The woodwinds are smaller. They usually sit in the middle. The brass section is also pretty small, but they can be the loudest section. The percussion section usually stands in the very back of the orchestra. Nowadays, there are lots of orchestras in the world. One of my favorites is not too far from here, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. They are one of the best orchestras in the world. Do you see the 4 sections in this picture? The next ensemble we're going to look at is called the big band. A big band is a type of jazz band. It has about 20 different musicians and is much newer than the orchestra. It has been around for about 100 years. Big bands usually have 3 rows of musicians with another group off to the side. The front row is the saxophones, the middle row are the trombones, and the back row is the trumpet section. The saxes and the trombones in the front 2 rows usually sit, and the trumpets in the back row usually stand. The most important section in the jazz band sits off to the side and is called the rhythm section. The rhythm section usually has a drummer, a bass player, and a piano player. Sometimes it has a guitar player too. Big bands can also have other instruments, like the violin or the flute, and singers as well. The last group that we're going to look at is a rock band. Rock bands are pretty new. They came around in the last 65 years or so. Rock bands are very flexible, but the basic setup has about 5 musicians. There are usually 2 guitar players, sometimes just 1, a bass player, a singer, and a drummer. All of the musicians stand except for the drummer. The drummer will usually sit in the back. Sometimes rock bands have keyboard players or other instruments too. Here's my challenge for you. I want you to create one of these ensembles at home, using toys, dolls, or whatever. You can even draw or paint a picture if you like. If you can, send me a picture or a video. I would love to see it.
This here is my orchestra. I decided to use chalk because I didn't want to have to set up 100 toys, but anyway, this is my orchestra. So right here in the pink, this is where my string section sits. They like to sit up in the front and over here. See, there's a whole bunch of them because you need a lot of string players in an orchestra. This is my really badly drawn violin. Maybe you can draw a better violin. I don't know. Right here in the middle, we got woodwinds in blue. This is my clarinet. Clarinets are some of the wood instruments that you'll see in an orchestra. Back up here in the yellow is where the brass section sits. That's my really badly drawn trumpet right there. But the brass section, even though it's kind of small, is the loudest instrument in the orchestra. And then all the way back here, we got a whole bunch of percussion instruments. Everybody in the orchestra gets to sit down, except for the percussionists, because they have to run back and forth and play all these instruments. Hope you like my orchestra. Anyway, this is my big band right here. As you can see, we've got our saxophone sitting right up in front here. We've got our trombone sitting right here in the middle row. And in our back row, we've got our trumpet section, who always stands when they play. This guy over here is our sound tech. He hangs out in the back and helps out with different stuff. And then over here, we've got our rhythm section. Doc Ock is playing the drums. We've got our dinosaur friend here playing string bass. And the shark, of course, is on piano, because why wouldn't you have a shark play the piano? Anyway. What's up, everybody? This here is my rock band. So, we got, like we said, there's going to be about 4 or 5 people in a rock band. This guy right here is my lead singer. You can see the microphone. Singer's got to go up front because, we like to see that person. And this guy right here is our guitar player. Guitar players and singers like to be right up front because they tend to think that they're really, really special, but they're really not as special as the other people in the band. This guy back here is our drummer. Drummer has to sit in the very back because the drummer has the most important job. They keep everybody together and they sit in the back so all the other musicians can hear them. This person kind of off to the side here is our bass player. Now our bass player's got a really important job too. They're there to help keep everybody playing together just like that. And not every, oh gosh, knocked over my bass player. Not every rock band has one of these, but I decided to put a piano player in here because I was listening to some great rock music the other day that had a lot of really cool keyboards, so I decided to put oh my goodness. Anyway, that's my rock band.